Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I'd be driving to work right now, but I can't drive because the street is covered with snow. And we have snow plows in Louisiana. We got about 10 inches of snow here. They're saying 8 from my town, but I think it looked like it's more than that. But they're going to probably correct those. They said it tied a record for the most snow in 150 years. The last time it snowed this much was 150 years ago in Louisiana. So I did record. Somebody said, I hope you recorded videos out in the snow. I said, yeah, I made 2 blizzard videos. They'll be posted when their turn comes. I was cold out there, but I figured, what the heck, Hello, DL. Okay, so this is Winchester Kentucky Rye whiskey. Don't know when it was introduced. I bought it in 2021, pretty sure, at Total Wine and More. So it's probably older than that, but I mean, it could have come out that year. I don't know. I couldn't find a trademark date on it. It says since 1866. Well, no. Maybe the rifle is what they're referring to since 1866. There's a write-up about the Winchester cowboy. An American icon associated with winning the West and such famous Americans as Buffalo Bill and Theodore Roosevelt. Tradition is a key attribute to pioneering American spirit, and our distillers continue this tradition with an exceptionally well-crafted can't read that because of the horse. Kentucky Rye whiskey. Okay. Jacob Sell, master distiller. A minimum of 1 year in new white oak barrels. It has to be new white oak because it wouldn't be rye whiskey if it wasn't. And it has to be charred oak. But otherwise, it doesn't have to be 2 years. That would be straight rye, just a year. Crazy, huh? Morning, Ron, says Joe Cobb. Morning to you. So this is a very young whiskey. Here is Johnnie Walker High Rye. Blended Scotch whiskey. It's 60% rye, and the other 40% is wheat and malted barley. Might have some unmalted barley in it also. And they got whiskey coming from Cardew, Cameron Bridge, Tiananich, Colilla, Klein Ellis, and Glenkinchie distilleries. It's a lot of distilleries and a lot of effort for a $19.99 whiskey. Yes, that's what I paid for it. $19.99. I'm not lying. Now it's gone up 28 cents since I bought it a year ago. Here's the website. So like I say, since I can't go to work, I may as well do this, right? Although I have other things I'm going to do. I'm not just going to sit here and drink alcohol and do some reading. I read the paper already online because I know they can't deliver the paper. There it is. There's the photo. It's just a twist cap. No cork. No age statement. So, but we know it's at least 3 years old because this is Scotland, Kentucky, and in Scotland, any whiskey of any type must age a minimum of 3 years. And there's no wiggle room around that. So we know it's at least 3 years old. In the United States, they don't have that rule, so you can as long or as short as you want to age it. And then if the customers don't like it, they won't buy it again, Rubber stopper. Okay, so that's the website. You can look it up if you feel like later. Just showing it to you. I'm gonna pour this and show the bottles. I mean, show the glasses. Then I'll turn on the lamps because the lamps make too much glare, and if you're trying to see the whiskey, you can't see it because of the glare. That's gonna fall. Have to pull the comic book box out a little bit. I think each box can hold about 300 comic books, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. I've gotten it wrong twice already in this series. That's not a goal. The goal was to get it right 100% of the time, but it just has not been possible. Okay. Well, I guess it was possible. I just didn't do it. You might be able to do the same series and get them all right. I don't know. I couldn't. It looks like the Johnnie Walker is barely lighter, just a bare minimum lighter, but not much. It's not making much of a difference. Now they're saying, AccuWeather is saying it's 13 degrees outside. But Bing, what is Bing? That's Outlook or whatever, Microsoft. Yeah. I have an email with them. I don't even ever check it. I probably got 1,000 emails from who knows where. 18 degrees and AccuWeather is saying 13. Well, somebody's not accurate. Now they're saying 12. 12. But you know what it could be? They don't have their gauge in this. It could be two different gauges, you see. And one part of town might be 5 degrees or 6 degrees cooler, but it seems hard to believe that. I don't know. Could that be? Okay. I'm hoping it's 18. I went outside under the porch. It was like 22 under the back porch. It's not a heated porch. It's just a screened-in porch. All the snow blew right through the screen. Had snow on my chairs and my table. I didn't know the snow could blow through a screen. I guess if it's real fine. I don't know much about snow because since we never get it, we did yesterday. And there was a 5-year-old lives next door. I said, Henry, you might be 105 and never see this again. And that's not an exaggeration. If he lives to 105, you probably never see this again. And James P. Madonna was telling me on Facebook, unbelievable, Louisiana getting so much snow. It's unheard of. He said, now will these climate change deniers straighten up? But I wanted to tell him, well, how does that affect climate change denial or acceptance? I mean, it happened 150 years ago, and now it happened again. So did change make it happen or no change make it happen? You know what I'm saying? Like these events do occur. They're not, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, so what was the case 150 years ago? Non-change? All right. All right. Well, I don't want to get into that dead end debate. No win situation, you know. And anyway, some people, you can't talk to them about those type of topics. I'm not saying he is that way, but some people are fanatical, you know, and it's hard to talk to fanatics about any subject because they are fanatics. You know, they cannot ever entertain an alternative idea. I'm not saying that they would have to accept a different idea, but they won't even entertain it. It's like totally beyond their thinking that somebody could think different than them on a particular subject. Yeah, it smells like whiskey, rye whiskey. I wouldn't say that. It just smelled like generalized stereotypical whiskey. And that's probably meaning it's from Kentucky. But I've already gotten tricked twice on these challenges. So I'm going to tell you now, my confidence level is not high, it's low. Now, is it my fault? I don't think it is. And I'm going to tell you because I think it's that the Johnnie Walker High Rye is not that different than other rye whiskeys. It's just not, it doesn't stand out. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because there's a whole lot of really good rye whiskeys out there and they're very similar one to another and they're all really good. So this is made under a royal warrant. You can see the glare when I'm talking about the glare. Royal warrant for King Charles III, King of the Solomon Islands, Tuvalu, St. Helena Island, Gibraltar, the two British territories in Cyprus, Scotland, Wales, etc. All right. There was an article on the internet about England, Great Britain, the United Kingdom, however you want to express that, wanting to get rid of a territory. They were going to give it to a different country. There's a country out in the Indian Ocean called the Maldives Islands, and they wanted to turn over the British Indian Ocean territory to them. But the United States was saying, no. Even Biden was saying, we need the base. We use that base. Now, you know what Trump's going to say. You know what that answer is going to be. He's going to say, give it to us. We can afford to maintain the islands and the bases. Maldives can't. They got no money. Of course, the Maldives is going to say, yeah, we can, because if we get the money from the base, rent, the lease agreement, we can maintain the islands or whatever, but the U.S. was saying no. And so then the British said, we're just going to table that discussion for the meanwhile. In other words, tell the Maldives, well, you can forget it for now. But who knows? They might still give it away. There's no people that live there permanently. Only people who live there are people that work at restaurants or whatever, like to cater the bases or cleaning staff or whatever. There's no permanent residents. So it's unpopulated. It's a British territory with no population, no permanent population, just like the South Georgia Islands and South Sandwich Islands and British Antarctic Territory. It's just areas on a map where somebody drew lines and put a flag and has no people. Okay, so the aroma is about the same. Now, Winchester from Kentucky, don't know why they're calling it Winchester and talking about the Wild West when it's made in Bowling Green, Kentucky at O.Z. Tyler Distillery. I mean, there's no connection between Kentucky and the Wild West, except that it was Kentucky was the first what you would call the West. It was west of the Appalachian Mountains, so then it was the West back then in the 1790s. And then it was just a county, it had no English people, maybe a handful, Daniel Boone and them, but then it became a state. Okay, taste time. And then the Mississippi River was the West. That was the western boundary of the United States. The other side of the river was a different country, or a territory at least. Not a country, a territory. Yeah, minty rye. Think of rye bread. This really tastes like rye bread. This one really does taste like rye bread. When am I going to start reviewing cannabis? I think we know the answer to that question. All right. So if you like rye bread, this could be one that would really work for you because it's so bready. And I don't recall the Johnnie Walker being like that. Still dark. I thought the daylight was supposed to come by this time. 6 a.m. Central Time, still dark. Okay, yeah, this is more mentholated. It's more like mint than bread. Now, to me, rye bread tastes like mint. Or some people say peppery, black pepper. I don't know. It's hard to say because it doesn't really taste like any of those, but you're trying to make an approximation. Grant says, haha, joking, just wanted to see your reaction. I played it off pretty well, huh? Okay. Okay, now I will say this: the thing that I tasted doesn't. Neither one of these tastes hot or young. 45% alcohol. If it was only aged a year, it should be hot. Kind of like unrefined. But I'm not noticing that. Now, one thing, OZ Tyler, those are the people that came up with this idea of expediting whiskey aging through some kind of like cryogenic, not freeze dry, something like pressure, like you make a diamond charcoal through pressure. There was some kind of experimental way to age, they say, to quick age whiskey. In other words, instead of aging in 10 years, you could use this method of, I think, high pressure and turn it into a 10-year whiskey in just a few days. That was on the news. I remember seeing it. And then like in 2014 when the company got started. I don't think people received that very well because they thought it was like cheating. The man that started the distillery was a scientist. He wasn't a distiller. But he said, I'm using my scientific knowledge to do this flash distilling, flash aging. But then he died, I think, a year after it opened. Like literally he died. He was not a young person. He was like a senior citizen when he started the distillery. But then other people took it over. Might have been in his family or other investors. And it's still open today. I think they mostly do contract distilling, and I don't think they use that method. I think they just threw out that method when he passed away because they just figured people weren't going to accept that. They didn't care if it tasted just like 10-year age. They said, no, that's phony. We don't go for it. So, but maybe they applied the method to this, and it's only aged a year, but it tastes older. Oh, price. I paid the same price for both of these, $19.99. And when I went back to Total Wine, I didn't see it anymore. I'm not sure if they still make it or they just Total Wine around here, their turnover rate is crazy. Like you'll see something one week and then you go back, you say, oh, I'm gonna go next month again. You go back the next month or 3 weeks later, it's like all the stuff you were looking at is not there. It's been replaced by something else. So if you see something there and you want to buy it, but then you say, let me think about it, I don't think I would do that because you're going to not see it. Good chance that you go to buy it, it's not going to be there. Okay, they still have it, or they brought it back. I think they brought it back. They have it. It says, not, but at nearby stores. Let's see who has it. Not available within 200 miles of my location. See what I mean? They dropped it. But you can see what it looks like. It changed in 3 years. 4 years. The price has not changed. Look, I'll show it to you on screen share. Then we'll try to make it. They found it in Humble, Texas, Houston. So that's a Houston area, Humble, Texas. They pronounce it Humble, not humble. That drives me nuts when I hear people say it. So there's an eagle, a badge, a courthouse, a saloon. I thought it was a courthouse. 3 barrels. That's totally bogus saying since 1866. Now I say we didn't claim the whiskey was since 1866. If you look at, and they say it's complex and rich. Well, I don't know about that. But if you look at the, they'll say, the company would say, if you look very carefully at the bottle in real small print, it'll explain that it was this cowboy artwork, I guess, probably from 1866. You got to be careful about these dates, like 1783. Now that make you think. You think, oh wow, Evan Williams, that thing's been on the market since 1783. Try 1955. Why they call it 1783? Oh, because there was a guy named Evan Williams in history who was distilling bourbon in Kentucky in 1783, 9 years before it was a state. So technically back then it would have been Virginia, a territory of Virginia. That's right. States used to have their own territories. Connecticut used to own areas out all the way to the Mississippi River. Pennsylvania had an area stretching all the way to the Mississippi River. Virginia all the way to the Mississippi River. They actually claimed it all the way to the Pacific Ocean, except they couldn't enforce that claim because that was Spanish territory west of the river, so that would make a war with Spain. No big deal because they were always having wars with Spain, but what they decided to do was not to have territories. And in one year, I can't remember the year, all the states agreed that they would give up their territories. And that area would be turned over to the U.S. central government. And then eventually, as they got populated, they would become states. That's the story. Because they knew that having territories out west was going to lead to another American Revolution where they would try to rise up against the original states to get their independence, or the states would start fighting with each other over the territories, and have these territorial wars like England and France did. And so they said, this is crazy. We could see the trouble coming. So why have the trouble? So that it worked out without any fights. Now the states ended up going to war with each other, but it was over another topic. It wasn't over territories. Coming to the United States this year, can I stay at your place? Drinking Modelo got VTO at work, and it's my Friday. I don't know what that means. I don't know a lot of abbreviations people use. They'll use these abbreviations. I don't know what they mean. Or, they use acronyms. Bye, Biden. Yep. I've been watching you since I was 21. I'm 30 now. Laughing out loud. Randomly see you live, laughing out loud. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now. So that whole long talk was, why does Winchester use the West? I don't know. It's from Kentucky. It's not from, when I think of the West, I'm thinking of Wyoming. At the worst, Texas and Oklahoma could be considered the West, I suppose, Southwest. Because you see some Western, but you wouldn't think of Louisiana or Arkansas, and you sure wouldn't think of Kentucky. So, yeah, it's a mystery to me. Good morning, brother. You're drinking already? No. Oh, he's joking. No, I'm tasting. You see, I wouldn't. You think I'm gonna drink whiskey at 5:30 in the morning? I have enough sense to not do that. That would indicate some trouble in someone's life, would it not? I would think so, but I'm just tasting it. Oh, VTO means voluntary time off. I got you. I have involuntary time off. I'd rather be at work making money, earning money, than sitting here doing this. I don't mind doing this. It's fun to do. But you see, I'm not earning any money if I'm not at work. But I can't make things change. It's bad weather, and so that's what we call it. Weather-related day off. Yesterday too, but I wasn't scheduled to work yesterday, so it was all a regular day off. Okay, that's got to be the Winchester, man. Let me go back over here. I'll tell you what, this got me kind of confounded. I thought this would be a snap, and I heard a bobcat outside. Did I say that earlier in the video? Last night I was sleeping around 11 o'clock, and I heard it. I said, that's no cat. I mean, it's a cat, but it's not a house cat. You know, a house cat will whine, you know, because they want to come in because of the cold. And I would have let a house cat in, even if it wasn't mine, you know, to be warm. But none of them were crying outside. This was like, I was like, what is this? And I was so sleepy, I just went back to sleep. I should have got up and looked around, because when I woke up this morning, I went out and looked in the front, and the cat, you could see the paws. The paw prints this big. You could tell it was cat prints, but they were big, like a bobcat. And it walked through the driveway. I don't know how far on the street it went. And I said, wow. They didn't say that they lived around here, but I heard one time about 50 years ago outside. But then I was sitting in that window right there. I was sitting here looking at the sports scores, you know, the basketball scores for college basketball. And I heard it growling outside the window. But it wasn't really growling. It was more like whining. It was like, they are very rare, but do exist. Yeah, when I was in Nova Scotia, I saw a cougar in Nova Scotia. Some people claim they're in Louisiana now. You know, the wildlife officials will tell you no. But they got people saying, no, we've seen them. I don't know what this was. I tried to look out the window, but when I turned it, opened the shades, it left. I could hear it took off. It probably frightened it. But it was probably whining to come in because it knew the house was warm. I'm not going to let a wild bobcat come in the house. I don't care how cold it is. Then I saw some big prints in the backyard. And it wasn't my footprints. It was either a person walking through the backyard last night or a bear. We do have a Louisiana black bear, so I hope it was not a bear. I'd rather if it was a hobo looking to go sleep in my shed, as long as he don't steal anything. You know, these hobos want to steal everything. Yeah, I've been having a cold lately, and I used all my sick time for family functions, laughing out loud. I knew I'd get sick after I used my sick pay. That used to happen when I worked as a teacher. You got 10 days a year, sick days, okay? But these teachers would use those days to go to the shopping mall. Like, it would be like 3 women teachers absent in the same day. But they weren't sick. They want to go to the mall all day. Then they'll use the sick days for some other ridiculous reason. This and that, waste all the days. Now, I would save mine. I don't care how sick I felt. I'll go to work. Because I found out that you could accumulate, that's not the law anymore, but you could accumulate the days year after year, and when you're retired, you'll get paid cash for the days. Any day over, you see, if it added up to a year, you get credit, like you worked that year, but you never worked. So when I retired, I got credit for all the years I worked, and then I got an extra year credit because I did not miss a day of work for 14 straight years. 14 straight years, I never missed a day of work. And that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right? It adds up, 140 days. It was more than that. I think it was 100 and it was so many days I had, because even the years where I did miss work, I might have missed 1 or 2 days a year. So yeah, it added up. It was like over a year. A year was 183 days for teaching. So I got a credit for a whole year, and then I got paid cash for the days that went over a year. I got $7,800. They just wrote me a check, $7,800 plus the retirement. Now, but you see these people that wanted to play around. Then one lady's husband got sick. He was dying. He had cancer, I think. I didn't even know the lady. I knew she was a teacher. Well, guess what they did? They went around the school asking people, could you give your sick days to her? I say, time out. Because you could do that back then. You could actually transfer your sick days to somebody else. I said, you're kidding, right? I said, she was always taking days off to go here, go there, waste time, play around. Didn't care. Now her husband is sick and she needs to take care of him, and she wants us to give our sick days to her. I said, what if I get sick? I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But see, if I get sick, I got over a year. I could be off, and I'm gonna get paid. I said, there's no way I'm doing that. And one guy told me, God's gonna punish you for that. I said, no, your ethics are screwed up. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I've been talking. I can't tell these apart. But that's impressive, Ron. Thank you, Joe. Ron ain't playing, laughing out loud. I wasn't playing because if you would have told the lady, like, you shouldn't be using all those days, she would have probably said, mind your own business. Don't worry about what I do if I go to the mall. That would have been the response. Okay, do what you want. Oh, but now I need the sick days, but I wasted them all. So you got to give me yours, or God's going to punish you. No, I don't think so. Okay, I think this is the Johnnie Walker. Doesn't sound very Christian to tell someone God is going to punish them for something so trivial like that. Hypocrite. It's kind of like the mother hen and the baby chick in the chick. Remember the story, the mother hen and the chick? They're going to bake bread. And they said, we need help baking bread. And all the other animals, it was like a fantasy story. All the other animals, the fox, the mouse, the deer, the rabbit, the cat, the dog, said, oh, we don't have time to help you. So they wouldn't help them. So the mother hen and the chick worked all day baking the bread. And then when the bread was ready and everybody could smell the bread, all the animals came around and said, well, we'd like some bread. And the mother hen and the chick said, we don't think so. Don't think that's happening. And they ate it themselves. Now you could say they were selfish. They weren't selfish. It was the selfish people who were selfish. I think this is Johnnie Walker by virtue of it being a little bit sweeter. A little bit sweeter. And that's a stretch. But I think this is the Johnnie Walker. I got it. So that was the clue. That was that one little clue that tipped me off. But it was close. This was scary. This was really scary. And you might laugh and say, I could do way better than you. Well, make the videos. I'll watch. I was just watching videos before I did this. I was watching people talk about that Kronenbourg 1664 Blanc, the white one, the wheat version, wheat ale. Well, I didn't like it. I found it in Puerto Rico last week. Like anytime I ever see it in Louisiana, it's like so expensive. Either you can't find it, or if you do find it, you won't buy it. It's like a 6-pack is $18.99. And I said, why would I pay $18.99? Why would I do that? $18.99 for a beer that I don't even like wheat beers. I said, if I find a single, I'll buy it. But I never could find a single. But I went to Puerto Rico, right on the shelf was a single. And it was like $2.29. So I bought it. I didn't like it. I was glad I only bought a single. The video will post in a few weeks. But I'm watching all the other people's reviews of Kronenbourg 1664 Blanc. And they like it. That's fine. But to me, I didn't like it. I gave it a C. I'm telling you, you shouldn't do that, right? Tell people what your score is. They don't have to watch the video, but that's true. That's what I scored. All right, so Winchester is no better or worse than Johnnie Walker Rye. So they're equally good, and I paid the same price. But the final assessment is that I was able to tell them apart by just the slightest little advantage of the High Rye from Johnnie Walker being a little more sweet, a little sweeter, just a little touch sweeter. And that was the only thing that gave it away. But it was very tough, and I'm glad I got it right. So that's going to put me at 2 losses so far, and I can't remember how many wins. 6 wins, 2 losses? I'll go back and check. I hope when I bring in the old overhaul, because we're back in Kentucky. We went to Indiana. Now we're back in Kentucky. When I do the old overhaul, and I got 3 different ones. I got 3 old overhaul ryes. 3. I hope I can tell those apart, from the Johnnie Walker High Rye. All right. Well, y'all take care and enjoy this cold weather if you can. I know I won't. I hate cold weather. Even if it's a winter wonderland. Bye-bye, everybody.